All right. Well, thank you for joining us again for the next edition of Moving Beyond the Coronavirus Economy. And my name's Tom Dufour. I'm the CEO with Big Sky Franchise Team, and I am thrilled to have our guest, finally have our guest, Red Boswell, who is the president of IFPG. So, Red, thanks for being here.
Tom, thank you. It's an honor, and sorry about the do-rag I've got on. I'm not normally not a gangster on these webinars, but guys, seriously, I'm embarrassed, but I knew this was live. I didn't want to cancel on Tom. I respect him so much. Excited to be on here. I promise I do not wear this thing even one day a year unless I'm chopping wood or something. I've got an old 52-year-old Jeep, and yesterday evening was in a hurry, and I ran and jumped up in it, and I banged my head on the roll bar so hard it about knocked me out. I was like, tears were coming. And anyway, big ugly forehead. So I'm trying to save you from that.
Well, thank you. Yeah. Well, we saw you over the weekend here. So, about a week ago. So, yeah.
Yeah, that was good seeing you in Nashville.
Yes, it was.
Great to be out.
Yes, it was. It was really great to be out. Well, I know you've got some awesome information to be sharing with everyone about working with franchise referral consultants. So I'd love to hear about that.
Yes, sir. So, gang, in franchising, there are a lot of ways to get leads, and franchisors spend a whole lot of time and money to get those leads and developing those leads. And so franchise referral consultants, the industry might call us brokers, coaches, advisors is a good term, matchmakers, mentors, lots of different titles. But for this program, we'll just call them consultants because that's a great title as well. They're consulting with potential buyers to find the ideal franchise opportunities for that buyer. Like a real estate agent helps find you that ideal house when you're looking to buy a house. And so Tom and I were rapping back and forth about, well, what should we talk about? What's of value? And, every day, multiple times a day, as president of IFPG, I get asked by franchisors, how do we do more? How do I do better? And man, it's rampant, the amount of mistakes I see franchisors making when they're working with consultants. And that's just flushing time and money down the toilet if they're not doing it right. So top me down I threw a little top 10 list together.
Yeah. And Red, before you jump into that, could you just give an overview of IFPG for someone who's tuning in? We have folks that maybe are just getting into franchising and are kind of starting to explore this and figure this out, and, give just a plug for IFPG while you're here.
I'd be happy to, Tom. Thanks. And when you promote this later, let's not use me with a bandana in the picture. I just need to block myself so I can't even see. Anyway, IFPG, International Franchise Professionals Group. We're the largest franchise, as I mentioned, referral consultant group in the world. We work with hundreds of wonderful franchisors from emerging to the biggest in the market. And we've got close to over 600 franchise consultants. These are independent agents. These are small business owners that are out there as a consultant helping people find franchises. And then we also have about 100 vendors. These are suppliers to the industry that you might sell to Azure, might sell to the consultant, might sell to both, but they're selling their services and their products, whether it be insurance or funding or attorneys and CPAs, marketing help, they're selling to our other members. So we're a membership organization connecting franchise professionals globally.
Well said. I like that. Well, let's jump into your top 10 list.
Okay. So this is mostly for franchisors, but anybody in franchising can benefit and learn from this. So some of these are a little bit no-brainers, and some of them will expand beyond just working with consultants. But a common mistake I see, especially with the emerging brands, is setting their IFF too low, their initial franchise fee too low. Well, why would I bring that up when working with consultants? Well, it's not just consultants, but anything. When you're doing franchise development, it takes a lot of money. You got to pay your internal staff yourself. You got to pay your trainers once they come on board. You got to keep the lights on. I realize franchisors tell me all the time, Red, I'm not a franchisor to make money on the franchise fee. Cool. That's the way to do it. You want to make money on the royalties in the long term. Think big, think long term, but you gotta stay alive. And having a small franchise fee, a $25,000, a $30,000 franchise fee, 35, even 40 sometimes, significantly restricts your opportunities for growth. And you're not going to lose a single deal if you bump it up to the average, which is around 50 now. When people are making life decisions, an extra 10 or 20 isn't a bad thing. It may be a good thing because they see that you're serious and they assume you're really providing value. So too low on the IFF.
And yeah, that's great. And I just want to comment on that because this comes up a lot in helping our clients develop their franchise program before they get to IFPG. We help our clients through this process of becoming a franchise. And one of the questions I have with them as I describe the franchise brokers and the franchise referral partners and kind of how this whole franchise consultant world works. And I said, look, if you intend to work with these groups at some point, even if you're not sure, but if there is a possibility, you need to make sure that your franchise fee is at a point where there's a commission, a referral fee that makes sense for all parties involved, because otherwise there's just not going to be enough. There's just not enough there for everything that's needed for the training and the support and so on. So anyway, I echo, just kind of reinforce what you're saying. If there's any interest in doing it, you have to consider pricing close to where you're talking about there.
And truly, even if, this is to be debated, I'm sure, but as a, forget the consultants, you've got a lot of expenses. You get your marketing. I mean, if you're not a household name, you will probably spend over $20,000 in marketing to get an actual franchise awarded. So just be careful how low you set that. Don't be intimidated to ask for what you're worth. Number 2, resells. Again, broader beyond just consultants, but man, resells are an issue. You're going to have resells. Every ZOR in the world is going to have a resell at some point. Address it early. Address it in your documents. Address it in your training. Address it in your operations manuals. Address it in your ongoing training. Address clearly, concisely in writing, how is a resell handled? When leads come in from consultants or from any avenue, who gets credit, who pays what, how are they handled? It's a multifaceted topic that I see so many ZORs not thinking through properly, and it gets them in trouble, and they offend their franchisee, they offend the buyer, they lose money, they get their franchise development team mad. There's a lot of pieces, and you really need to be able to think through every scenario and address it early. You ready for number 3?
Let's go.
Hey, number 10 is my favorite. So I'm just saying you fast forward if you want to get the favorite. Number 3, presenting to consultants like they're a candidate. Man, that's embarrassing. When I've got ZORs, franchisors, ZORs on a webinar, and we do a lot of them, or presenting in any fashion, and they're giving their candidate presentation to the consultants. The consultants are not your candidate. You need to speak to them on their terms, on their level. You don't spend 7 minutes talking about your founder in elementary school, how he, fell in love with baseball, which ultimately okay, mention it in 20 seconds, but not 20 minutes. So they want to know about who your ideal candidate is and what their day in the life is and how to find you the right buyer, and maybe even commissions are a part of it. So talk to them like a consultant, not a candidate. You ready for number 4?
Yeah. Well, I just want to say one quick thing on that. You're exactly right. I've seen some of those presentations where there's just a total disconnect where, the consultants, they want to know, well, what are the real differentiators from your brand to the next? How are you going to support the broker? How are you going to communicate with the consultant from when they send the lead over? How do you pay out your referral fees? And they want to know those things. Certainly they want to know how the system works and so on, but they've looked at hundreds of these. They get the gist of franchising at that juncture.
Tommy, you read my mind on number 4, proper frickin' frack. Frickin' frack is the fun term that the industry calls it for the consultant and the ZOR communicating behind the scenes. Now, the candidate knows this is happening. The consultant stays kind of in the back seat of the car. The ZOR drives the process through once the introduction is made. So it's always the ZOR process. Nothing is skipped. Nothing is left out on the ZOR process. No, the consultant does not replace anybody on the franchisor's team. We're not the Fran Dev team. We're the lead generator of a very good, high quality lead. But the frickin' frack is so critical. You want to shut yourself down quickly with the consultants. Don't follow up with the consultants. That'll shut you down fast. They want to know what's happening because they're going to give you the same freaking frack. They're going to let you know, hey, you're in second place. Here's who's in first. Here's who's in third. Here's your candidate's concerns. They didn't feel like you answered this question properly, etc. So they'll give you a lot of things that candidate's not going to give you. And you as the ZOR need to do the same thing. Hey, the spouse didn't get on the call. Mr. or Mrs. Consultant, could you please help make sure that spouse gets on the call? They're going to be like, oh my gosh, I'm embarrassed. I told them the spouse needs on the call. And then, hey, I gave them some homework. This Thursday at 5 is our next call. Could you just remind them to get that homework done for me, Mr. Consultant? Yes, absolutely. So help each other. It'll go faster. You'll close more deals. You'll award more franchises. Everybody will be a lot happier if you have proper communication on the back end.
I love it. You're right. It's very true. And just to reiterate that each consultant likes to do it a little differently. So they all kind of have their own preferences and so on. So, there will be some commonalities, but everyone's kind of got their little ways, just like every franchise brand has their own little ways they like to do things.
Yeah. And you know, some like texting, some like emails, some like phone. So ask them. Yeah. Another one is not hiring a franchise pro, a Fran Dev pro. Okay. So many ZORs, I'm guilty. I'm chief of sinners on most of these. That's how I figured out how to do it right, because I did it wrong. I was the founder. Nobody loved the brand more than me when I was a franchisor back in the day. And so I said, I'm going to be that Fran Dev rep. I'm going to be the franchise development person handling leads. I learned real quick, I can't do that with excellence. I've got the original model I'm running. I've got now the franchisor I'm running, and I try to be a full-time Fran Dev rep. Are you kidding me? And I see so many ZORs doing that. Of all the places to save money, a franchise development professional is not one of them. You want them to know the process involved, and it helps if they're a known commodity. If, oh my goodness, did you hear that Sally Smith, Sally's such an old name, John Smith, Sally Jones, whatever, is now repping for this new emerging brand XYZ franchisor. Oh, cool. That must be a hot brand. And you've immediately established yourself, that new franchisor, as credibility through the credibility of your new franchise development professional. So going and hiring your neighbor, your cousin, having a spouse do it, that just nobody has had any franchise development experience. They're not a known entity, can get you in trouble, can lose a lot of great candidates, and certainly makes it slower to really ramp up with the consultants.
Yep. Agree.
How about this one? Item 19, not having one. Now, a lot of emerging brands, I'll talk and I'll go through and optimize. I'm optimizing their messaging to the consultants, helping them out a little. And I go, really? You have no item 19? What's the deal? Well, we're just launching and we have you can have an item 19 disclosing that this is a corporate unit, the corporate location. These are the corporate numbers. You can totally do that. I've had attorneys say, no, you don't want to do that. You only want to use franchisee numbers. Having anything is better than nothing in the item 19 world, unless you're just making no money at all. So item 19 is really important, not just for referral consultants, but for any candidate. If they've had any advice from an attorney, which they probably have, or certainly will, or they do any research at all, or if they're working with consultants, item 19 is so important. What are you trying to hide is what they're thinking. And it's easy to get you out. In fact, most of the consultant searches in our system, they check a lot of different boxes to help hone it down from hundreds down to dozens, down to a handful. And one of those boxes is, do they have an item 19? And it's rare that a consultant would not check that box. It's important, very important.
Yeah, I agree. It's I hear those communications from new franchisors that are worried or nervous or concerned, or sometimes the attorney really gets them nervous about listing it out. But generally speaking, I have a similar viewpoint as you at this point, Red.
Yeah.
You want to People want to know something, anything, even just a top line, just something,
Yeah.
anything, just to show what past performances looked like.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. You can craft it as long as you're balanced and honest. You can craft the item 19 however you see fit. All right. Here's number, what is it? 6. No, 7. We're already number 7. It's similar to number 6 on the item 19. Passive. Now that's a broad term. Passive, semi-passive, executive model, absentee. What do all those mean? They're all varying degrees of how much time a candidate or a new franchisee puts into the business. And so go back to when the consultant is getting all this great information from the candidate, they're entering it in the system, perhaps IFPG system, and it then spits out all the matches, shows them from hundreds again down to dozens. Well, passive is a big one. Now, some people, yes, they want fully passive. They're going to keep their job or they're going to stay retired, whatever. They're just looking for an investment. That's rare. Fully passive from day one. But there's a whole bunch. I'm talking, man, like 2/3 of the world of franchising that has some degree of passivity, some degree. Now, most are going to say, oh, we want them full-time day one, year two, maybe. But ultimately, if you're a franchisor, and I ask this all the time, I say, if Bill Gates walks up to you waving his billions, maybe you don't like Bill Gates, so include somebody you do like that has a lot of money. They come up to you waving their millions, in love with your brand, in a market you're not at, dying to launch. You're not going to allow that to happen. If he promises he's going to hire the greatest team you've ever seen, and that team's going to go through your training and everything just like a new franchisee. And he even says, I'll work full-time for 2 years, but I'm not working full-time beyond that. I mean, in the remotest situation, do you allow semi-passive? If the answer is yes, I don't care if the answer is yes in 2 years. I don't care if the answer is yes if they bring on a big team. If the answer is ever yes, check the box. Man, I see that mistake happen a lot. Where Azor says, nah, we're not passive. Well, what degree of passive are you? When are you? Type it out. Explain it. You will get a lot more eyeballs, and that's what you're looking for. You want the consultants to get to know you, to see you, to present you. Then you want to check passive and then give the disclaimer what it really means. You'll get way better results. That surprised a lot of people, but communication and clarity matter.
Mm-hmm.
Tom, number 8 is, this is another one that's very broad, but I see Zors do this all the time. Underestimating the validation step. Nothing kills a deal like validation. Nothing. You get them in love with your brand, going through the process, taking a lot of your time. The spouse is on board. The territory is available. The funding is underway and looking great. All the boxes are checking, and we're about to change lives and enter a new community. And then they talk to the wrong people or aren't properly, you can't steer. You cannot steer and tell them who they can and can't talk to, but you can also prepare them when they are talking to folks. You can require they only do validation at the step that they've earned the right to do it. And that also protects your current franchisees from having their time wasted. And you can do it through recordings. You can do it through a town hall. You can ask them what kind of person they want to talk to and then make that introduction. Just know that validation is, you got to do it wisely. You got to do it right, completely open and transparent, but there's a lot of ways to mess up validation, which kills deals, which chaps off the consultant, which makes them not want to show you again. So don't underestimate how incredibly critical validation is to the process.
Mm-hmm.
We rounding it out to the last 2.
Yep.
All right. So number 9, compensate appropriately and pay quickly. Kind of a little 9A and 9B. So, and think through the whole thing. You got to be a marketer and a good communicator. I mean, all about everything in life comes down to communicating well. I mean, from wars to marriages to relationships, and certainly in sales, it is communicate. So what do I mean? Well, first of all, you want to have an attractive commission. That's just simply part of the process. But I had a franchisor, this is about a year ago now. He calls me up. He's like, Red, we love you guys. We get we're just not getting the traction we want. He was wanting to get more. So I'm going through all the different things. I'm talking about a lot of things we're talking on here. And then I'm, oh man, your commission is pretty low, bro. I mean, you know, all the numbers make sense until I get down here. All your competitors are way up here. And he explained why, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like, okay, well, let's keep looking. And then he just happened to mention, you know, last year, 87% of our deals were 3-packs or above. I'm like, what? 3-packs, three territories, 3 franchises or above, 87%. You have nothing on your entire profile that says that at all. All you have is multi-unit, yes, meaning they are open to selling multiple units to one person at the beginning of the process. You didn't say 87. I mean, that, and I said, what do you pay for a 3-pack? And he gave you a number that's way above the norm. And so I was like, oh my gosh, you got this really low number that's scaring folks off, but 87% of the time they would have made way more than average. You got to be talking that. You got to be giving them clarity. So something as simple as a little phrase, 87% are 3-packs or greater. A 3-pack pays 3X instead of single X. And I mean, it was just so simple. And he was leaving out something that critical. So make it clear. And then that last part of that, 9B, pay quickly. The success fee, we call it, the commission, is paid after the fact. It's paid after the franchisor receives all their money. There's no risk, no money out of their pocket. Well, that consultant has invested a lot of blood, sweat, and tears and life savings to get to that point. And they've fracked and they've helped and they've gone through tons and tons of leads. They're ready. They're hungry. Mom is at home needing a new pair of shoes. You want to get that money in their pocket as quickly as possible. They will appreciate you for it. And tell you what, if you wait till day 5.5, they're going to tell others that you don't care.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, you're right, Red. And there's nothing worse. I think anyone that's been in the franchise sales world for probably, if you've been in it for at least 3 years or more, at some point, someone's been burned by a franchisor by either shorting the commission or just doing not just doing things wrong, just foul play, just not cool stuff that it just makes it's like, okay, I've always agreed with you. It's like all of a sudden sometimes people get that franchise fee and they say, oh, it was so easy. It was so easy. It's like, well, yeah, but pay the commission that you promised to pay and move on. But they think all of a sudden it's theirs, and it changes quickly once it hits their bank account. So I echo and reiterate that, pay your commission or success fee ASAP. Keep those. Ultimately it's your sales team. It's a version of your sales team. Keep them happy. So I encourage that as well.
All right. So number 10, the last one. And by the way, guys, if you joined us late, I'm not sporting the red do-rag because I'm part of the Bloods. I have a big old bump on my head from banging my head against my Jeep roll bar. So rather than cancel on Tom and on you guys, I just thought I would wear this thing so you don't have to stare at a big old ugly forehead. You still get to see my ugly face. But number 10, it is a relationship. You've heard that throughout. I'm going to reiterate it with its own number 10 point. Know it's a relationship. Take advantage of every opportunity to get you and your message and your team in front of the consultants. They got to know you. They got to like you. And yes, they have to trust you to give you their baby, this person that they spent so much time, so much money, so much effort to getting them to this point. And they want to know that you are the man or woman that's going to take it over the finish line, not embarrass them, and frickin' frack properly. So everything about that relationship. Well, how do you develop a relationship? Think about when you're dating someone. It's not staying at home and doing nothing and they're staying at home and doing that ain't a relationship. That's ignoring one another. It's get in front of them, go see them, time, money, effort, get out there. And over time, you're building. This is a marathon, not a sprint. And you are really developing a huge reputation, good or bad, hopefully good, with the consultants. Well, how do you do that? Attend the conference. That's kind of like elementary basic stuff here, but every consultant group has a conference or two a year. We call ours Retreat, October 4th through 6th. Excuse me, Hollywood, Florida. And we have 4 to 6 regional events a year that are very, very popular. Do webinars. I have Zors with us that just forgot, haven't decided to do a webinar. We'll even email them, hey, it's time to do another webinar. And they don't respond. I'm like, why are you even a member? Send out email announcements, deal announcements. Every time you do a deal, man, let's send it out. Let's get the great news to the world. Marketing messages. Part of the membership for almost every one of our members is a monthly marketing message to the consultants. That's a big value in their membership. And yet about 80% of my Zors don't send those out regularly at all. It's embarrassing. It's like, why are you even working, supposedly working with consultants, if you're not even going to take advantage of a free marketing message that we will send on your behalf to our 630 consultants? Come on, you're just kidding yourself. Responding to territory checks. Our system records down to the second how fast you respond to territory checks. Well, I don't know about you, Tom, but if I get a text, I see that text and I look at it and I respond. I mean, come on, this is this ain't rocket science. And yet when we text and email those territory checks, we have an average response time of almost 8 hours, over 7 hours average response time. I have some Zors that have 3-day response time. They ain't getting shown in Texas vernacular. You need to be under 2 hours for a text. Come on, yes or no? Optimally, you want to say, hey, thanks, great, thank you, thank you, Tom. Red here, very excited to meet your candidate. Houston's an awesome market. Let's do this, brother. Here's my cell phone. Here's my phone number. Can't wait. Hope to see you at retreat. Red. I mean, that's a wonderful way to do a territory check because you're making it personal. You're including your name, your contact info. You're giving them a reason to say, this may be one Mrs. Candidate that you want to look at because I don't know what's up with Houston, but he said Houston's the hottest market in the country. So, you're not just saying yes, available. You're saying yes, available, and here's why you should show me. It's a great opportunity to get put on that short list. There's so many ways to get in front of them. The consultant group might have a magazine. We have Franchise Consultant Magazine. It's snail mailed. It's printed. It's digital also. We have podcasts. I do video podcasts. I do audio podcasts. We text those audio podcasts to our consultants. Provide downloads, email out downloads, connect with everybody on LinkedIn. All the consultants you talk to, send them a connection request, and they'll see your post on LinkedIn and fall in love with you more. It's just one more point of contact. Clearly addressing multi-units and area developers and masters and even veteran discounts. Do you give a veteran discount? Do you give a minority discount? And if so, how much? And then don't take it all out of the consultant's pay. I know it's kind of like a bonus. It just hit me. I didn't include that one, but massive mistake. I see some occasional franchisors, they don't think it through properly. They'll give this beautiful veteran discount, beautiful discount for minorities or disabled. And then all of a sudden they take most of that discount out of the consultant's pay. And you're like, you want to be blackballed. You want to get hated real quick, take all the credit for a discount, but really you're getting all your money. You're just taking it from the consultants. So I know we've covered a whole bunch. I think we did it in 29 minutes, 1 minute bonus.
No, that was phenomenal, Red. Thank you so much. And look, I'd love to open things up for some questions for anyone who's on the line here. If you've got a few minutes, see if we have any questions. You can raise your hand, type it in the chat box. I'll unmute you. We've got a good group here, and feel free to ask. Okay, we've got one here. All right, hold on.
Marks on the do-rag.
All right, hold on. Here we go. All right, Warren, are you there?
Hey guys. Hi.
Hey there.
Hi, how's it going, guys? Hey Red. It's Warren here. Good to see you in person again. I do just want to thank you. I'm new to this, and this was great. Really helpful list. And Red, I do have a question for you that I'd like you to talk to you offline about. If you could give me a buzz or send me an email or something.
Right on, Warren. Thank you. I saw that yesterday. I saw an email from Amy about your question. So looking forward to catching up.
Okay, thanks a lot. That was a great list. I really appreciate it.
Good to see you. Warren has a interesting concept. It's a salt cave.
Yeah.
Salt.
Yeah, it's super cool. It's really cool.
Yeah, very
Um,
profitable, very unique. Oh my gosh, and on trend. And so
yep.
we're excited about launching that with our consultants.
Yep. Yep. And any other questions while we have Red with us here?
I think we are recording this, guys, so you can go back and watch it again. Laugh at my do-rag if you'd like. Um, I'm juiced up on plenty of Tylenol right now, so that hopefully I didn't slur any of my words. But
No, you sounded great. Well, and Red, I would just say while you're here, if someone is interested in learning more about IFPG or how to get involved or to, learn a little bit more about how to be a better franchisor in your network, how can they do that?
Yeah, thank you very much, Tom. Guys, if you're interested in being a consultant or is looking for wonderful consultants, I take that role very personally. I work directly with the consultants to figure out if it's a good fit. So you'll be dealing with me and with our membership director. Please email me, red@ifpg.org. If you're a franchisor or a vendor, Hira is our membership director, and she'll be working more closely with you. I'll be part of the process, just not at the front end of it, probably. You can go to ifpg.org. That's the easiest way, and you'll see how to connect with us there. Hira's first name is Hirra. So Hirra at ifpg.org. We're not .com, we're .org. You can learn a lot on our website there too. Let's be sure and connect on LinkedIn. As always, it's just Red Boswell. I'm probably the only one on there. And hope to see you out in the field at the different events we have coming. We are doing Denver soon. We got Chicago, of course, the big IFE in New York City. Springboard's coming up. The franchise leadership and development's coming up. Lots of great events coming up. So please, if I miss you, if I walk by you without saying hi, give me a hug, give me a high five. Let's connect.
Great. Well, Red, thank you so much for being here. And thank you all for tuning in again for this latest edition of Moving Beyond the Coronavirus Economy. Red, we're so grateful for your time. Thanks for being here and great seeing you again. I hope your head heals up well and you get back and at it.
Thank you, Tom. Appreciate all you do for the industry, brother. Hope to see you again soon.
All right. See you soon.